What do you get when you give Steve from Minecraft a Glock 43X in Roblox? Well, you get this. Roll the damn intro.
Welcome to the PSR YouTube channel. Hey, I love YouTube. YouTube's awesome. It's awesome. You should become a YouTube creator. Totally. This video will get monetized. Yes. Whoa, yeah. We're having lots of family fun now. Whoa, yeah. None of these are real guns now. Whoa, yeah. Also got a Patreon, the link is in description. Got some merch too, yeah, you know you wanna get some. Thank you for being patient. I think we've stroked the algorithm enough for today. The video starts in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of PSR. Today, we're talking about the Glocks from Phil Fisher. This is a Glock 43X, and it is additively manufactured. Yes, we're finally putting the P in PSR in this episode. But first, I gotta thank the channel sponsor for PSR, and that is Aves Engineering. Guys, this is a perfect episode to talk about Aves Engineering because these are Aves rails inside of this here frame. And that is exactly what Aves specializes in, is the rails to make your slide go slide nice and smooth. They got Mac 11 parts, grips, all sorts of stuff. So definitely never check them out and absolutely never use the code PSR for 10% off your entire order. Just get yourself railed already. Thanks Aves for sponsoring this channel. So if you haven't watched the channel recently, I'll fill you in. James Reeves of TFB TV came by and shot a bunch of my favorite additively manufactured squirted firearms. I must say, a lot of people thought he was really disrespectful, but he was not. He was very kind, a good dude. Him and I are friends, and I like his sarcasm and roasting of my guns. I was totally ready for it and accepted all of the criticism. We were just having fun, guys. It was no hard feelings at all. But one of the guns that James liked a lot was this here Glock.
This is the coolest looking gun out here, honestly.
So this is a Glock 43X, and it is designed by Phil Fisher. Now this is a remix of the DD43 frame, which was released, I think, a couple years ago, designed by Vin Nguyen in conjunction with Aves Engineering. These frames are really neat because they basically take like an 8-bit kind of approach, or in this case, it's even less than 8-bit really, and it looks like it's out of Minecraft or Roblox or both. I like to call them Glocks because they just seem like they fit in that world. Now, as you're probably aware, the 43X by Glock is a concealed carry, kind of everyday carry firearm. If you weren't aware, the 43X holds 10 rounds from the factory, which in my opinion just doesn't cut it. So that's where these shield arms 15-round mags come in. These fit great in my Glock, and they release nice and easy. Pretty sweet. Now some of you might be wondering, what am I wearing? Well, that's where today's episode sponsor comes in. Today's episode sponsor is adamandeve.com. And what do I have behind me? You might be wondering. A nice wall ornament. That is the Great American Challenge, which I proudly hang on my gun wall. Guys, adamandeve.com is back with another sponsorship of an episode, which I really want to thank them for because they're doing something a little different. Adam and Eve sent me this harness, which is pretty sweet because it's quite tactical. Now, in addition to this cool chest rig, which I fitted with this general purpose pouch, which of course could hold anything. They also make a ton of other private tactical accessories. If you want 50% off your first item from adamandeve.com plus rush processing, use the code PSR at checkout. Now, if you haven't watched my other videos sponsored by adamandeve.com, I highly suggest you go check them out. I have a lot of fun with them, and they make Lucas Bakken really angry. So whether you want to get a cool chest rig like this, get something special for your loved one, or just make Lucas mad, use the code PSR at checkout from adamandeve.com. Thank you again to Adam and Eve for sponsoring this episode. So I'm gonna get to my shooting impressions of this gun, but first I just wanna say a little bit about the materials, a little bit about how I've set it up. So this here was squirted out in Polymaker PLA Pro. It's my favorite filament. I have a link to it in the description. You can print all sorts of doodads, fun trinkets for your loved ones, stuff that's totally not firearms, of course. I actually am being serious when I say that the squirting is for everyone, not just firearms enthusiasts. It's an amazing technology, and it's a really great thing to have inside your home, in addition to a firearm, of course. This was squirted out on my Bamboo Lab X1 carbon, which I really love. I've been using it for over a year now. Swear to God, I'm gonna do a review of it, but I've really been just wanting to put it through its paces before I do so. This came out really, really, really great. As far as the design of the frame, it's quite robust given that it is very blocky. Don't worry about this thing at all having any kind of weaknesses. The pins are stuck kind of deep in there. They're recessed in there, whereas a normal 43X frame, they're kind of poking out slightly, which is interesting. I will show you a comparison of all three frames. I have a micro dagger frame and a 43X normal Glock frame to compare it to. Now the girth of this grip on this Glock is quite thick, so this has got a larger than normal mag release, and it is shaped in a more kind of square, blocky form, of course, fitting the aesthetics. And just on the topic of aesthetics, I just think it's just a really cool looking gun aesthetically. Now, I did do some shooting with this slide, but I shot with the OEM slide probably more when I went to the range, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But on here, I wanted to kind of complete the blocky look with this Zafiri Precision slide. This is all Zafiri parts except for the compensator. The slide is a ZPS4. It is a threaded Zafiri barrel. It's got fiber optic sights on it. I really do love the space gray kind of look of this slide with the OD green of the Polymaker PLA Pro. I think it's a nice combo. Just to see what it looks like though, I will show you what it looks like with the normal G43X slide on here. So this uses normal G43X parts. Everything is just stock Glock. Now, as far as the aesthetic design of it, like I said, I really do love the aesthetic design. As far as the pick rail, it is a very much simplified blocky pick rail, and so it's not functional, although maybe you could clamp something on there. So let's talk a little bit about what this thing was like to shoot. So like I said, I shot most of the video with this slide on it because I kind of wanted it to be flush, but I did shoot the Zafiri slide and it ran. This thing is actually surprisingly controllable, and it really didn't hurt like I thought it would to shoot. Now, I've done another video on the Glock that was designed by Phil Fisher, the pink one. It had a little bit more, let's say that was more of the 8-bit one. It's the pink Hello Kitty Glock that I filmed.
These unregistered killing machines are now surfacing in Australia.
That one had very small, like pixelated texturing, and that actually did dig into my hand. But this one actually is surprisingly comfortable for what it is. And this trigger guard is just massive. That is kind of what defines the pistol, honestly, is the trigger guard, because you just see it and you're like, what the hell is that? I was able to grip this surprisingly well and do follow-up shots with relative ease. You know, probably not much worse than my normal 43X, honestly, which is kind of shocking because I thought this thing was gonna actually be like a complete dumpster fire to try to really shoot, you know, on target. And I was shooting at a steel target, 10 yards distance, and I was laying some good follow-up shots pretty fast with this thing. One thing about the trigger guard that's nice is it's got this relief cut here, so you can kind of get your fingers nice and up and under the trigger guard, which is helpful. So that little bit of relief is kind of nice. It's an undercut, similar to what you see with your aftermarket Glocks and stuff. For a little visual comparison, here is the normal 43X, but with the Zafiri slide on it, and then here is the Glock. Profile on the grip, quite a bit different. Now, in addition to the subcompact kind of concealed carry Glocks, there are also Glock 19 size Glocks. And I actually did bring this to the range. You can see you've got an extra bit of Picatinny rail section. However, the takedown, unfortunately, because it uses the Gen 3 takedown spring, it just didn't quite sit properly, so it flung out, so I couldn't shoot it very much, but this thing did run as well before that did happen. I would say using the Gen 5 spring, which is actual kind of coil spring, is very much far preferred. So if you do take part in your own squirting and you want to do a frame of some kind, I would highly recommend using the Gen 5 spring designs rather than the normal spring that's the Gen 3 design. I just think the Gen 5 is superior. So yeah, this is the G19 Glock, and this is the G43X Glock. I will say when I was shooting as Steve at the range, no one was there to watch me, but I feel like if someone was there and pulled up and just happened to show up at the range at that time, they might be a little scared. And I will say, becoming Steve made it a lot harder to shoot this thing through the Steve vision. Shooting a gun through the eyes of Steve is not easy. Steve has seen some shit and actually couldn't see anything. That's why it was hard. But regardless, I had a lot of fun shooting this thing. As far as reliability goes, I didn't run into any malfunctions with it, which is awesome. And it's pretty much par for the course for these designs. They've been really well tested. The Glock 19 that I brought, I told you the takedown spring, it fell out, so I unfortunately had to stop shooting that one while I was out there. Now, another question is, given that this is an EDC kind of pistol, will it fit in a holster? My EDC holster, the A&R design G43X holster, let's see if it fits. I don't think it will. Nope. Shocking. It just doesn't want to go in. Why? Lastly, before we conclude this episode, I want to give a big shout out to Vin Nguyen, who's the original designer of this frame. And then I also want to give a shout out to, again, Phil Fisher, who designed this frame. A lot of people don't necessarily give the love to designers. They definitely deserve all of the love. I don't design any of the stuff that I shoot and that I make videos on, guys. That is not me. I'm not very good at CAD or anything. So I want to make sure they get their 15 minutes of fame for what they're doing, because it's really great. And the community in general is just really cool because it's just open source. There's no money involved. There's no payment for any of the stuff that you download, guys. And I'm not going to say where, because I can't say that on YouTube. But Phil Fisher, for example, a designer, he made a template for people to easily be able to remix designs that are based on Glocks. So I just think it's really cool how the community continues to expand and offer generous gifts to people who want to learn how to design and make a potential career out of CAD design, which is a really valuable skill, especially in this day and age. So with that, I want to thank you guys for watching another episode of PSR. Stay safe out there, guys. Have fun, make things, and love each other, okay? And maybe get the Great American Challenge to use as a ballistic fleshlight. That's all I got, guys. See you on the next one. Peace. Still super fucking torqued. Oh, just by myself in my house, torqued. Take a second.